Cambridge 105, and Through the Lens is a new film that has been shooting in Cambridge, telling the story of a near future where the economic crisis has worsened, Britain is subservient to the United States, and social media is constantly monitored by the authorities. Behind it is Spark in the Dark Productions, and we have with us director Oscar Forshaw-Swift and actors Charlie McDougall and Lewis Saunderson. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
This will be one of these confusing ones when we have to explain to everybody who everybody actually is. And there's a strong Cambridge connection here as well. And I also realise, in addition to being the director, Oscar, you're also these two gentlemen's landlord as well.
That's right, yeah.
How on earth did that come to be? This is like low budget at its best.
I mean, that's exactly it. You know, you make a film on a budget, and you know, we've got the entire sort of crew and cast living in the house. You know.
And how big is this house? I'm concerned.
It's not very big. You know, Charlie's in the back room, Lewis is in the front room. We've got a big army tent in the long lawn with two girls in there.
Gentlemen.
Yeah, gentlemen over here.
And then there's editing going on in my dad's painting studio at the end of the garden.
And you're filming as well around. Whereabouts in the city have you been filming?
Where do we film?
Hanover Court.
Hanover Court.
Yeah.
Which is off Hills Road, isn't it? And then we filmed
Plurabelle Bookstore.
Yeah, just round the back of
a quirky little
Hills
place.
Road School.
How far along are you in the production process at the moment?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're getting used to it, both the domestic arrangements and also. What time do you have to get up? Are these early shoots or into the evening?
We go around 6:15.
It really depends. It changes. Because, for example, the last 3-4 days, Charlie and I haven't actually been in. So we've had a bit of time off, but I start again on Tuesday. But yeah, it's usually around 7 o'clock in the mornings, and then getting back at around sort of 8, 9, 10 at night.
Oscar, tell me a little bit about the storyline as to the setup. I mentioned it in the introduction. It's one of these, ever so slightly, it could sort of happen, but hopefully probably won't. How do you set that out?
It's definitely quite current, you know, in terms of the internet being sort of, you know, suggestions of it being more and more monitored and what have you, and it's the story which sort of explores that and presents a sort of dystopic future vision of like what it could be like if everything was sort of, internet wasn't quite what it is now, and you know, you had to sort of watch what you were doing on.
I guess it's that it could possibly happen kind of element that makes this sort of story compelling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's lots of interesting elements like that, and I think that's what's going to give it its edge, hopefully. So.
There's also parallels here, I guess, with talk of monitoring communications in the UK. There's the use of social media, I guess, in world events such as the Arab Spring, or so-called Arab Spring, I guess, really now. Is that where you draw your inspiration from?
Well, I mean, absolutely. When I was putting it together, I started writing it about a year and a bit ago. Yeah, it was. I mean, I was looking at the sort of the impact of social media on sort of revolutions in, you know, Egypt and Libya and all of that, and that sort of really sort of gave me a sort of starting point.
Do you think they actually do have an impact, or is it simply that other people on social media are kind of promoting the fact that these people are there tweeting or whatever?
I mean, it gives a voice, doesn't it, and it helps people to sort of more and more sort of to be able to mobilise and sort of talk about what's going on in large numbers.
And are you guys all on social media, or what?
Yes,
you,
of course.
Facebook, Twitter, a bit of both?
At MethodMan26 and
Facebook. Linking the Facebook and Twitter up.
Yeah.
It's complicated. Sometimes you can spend all day just moving from one to another, couldn't you, really? Charlie, what's the career path for a young actor in the UK? Tell us a little bit about what you've done previously.
Well, I haven't gone down the normal road for most actors. Most of the time they go straight into drama school at a young age. They come out around 19, 20, and they come straight into the industry, whereas I actually went and done 4 years at university first. I went and got my BA in drama, then I got an MA in contemporary theatre, and then I decided to go to drama school.
And was that the intention all along? Did you have this sort of the acting bug,
which
led you towards the courses?
Yeah, I always wanted to do acting, but I always wanted to go and have some fun as well with like go to university, get it done while I'm young, because I would have hated the thought of wanting to get the grades and then going back when I was probably too old to really enjoy the university feel and get everything out that you can.
But you hear, people like Lily Cole, for example, is often in the news, who goes to Cambridge or went to Cambridge, and in between, sort of carrying on this subsidiary modelling career. I guess that's, I don't know, is that the direction? Could you sort of have stopped for a year and then continued, or would have that just been too difficult?
Yeah, not for me. I mean, I'm the kind of person that, you go full on or you don't do it at all. So I just wanted to get my BA done, get my MA done, get into the industry.
I see you share an agent with EastEnders Rita Simmons. Roxy, is Roxy she plays? How did that happen? Did it just go one of these coincidental things?
Oh, I looked at the EastEnders cast and applied to all their agents, considering I'm from East London.
Yeah.
It just makes sense, and that's what Brian saw in me. He saw a true East Londoner.
Would you consider going into a soap at some point? If only for like a brief period, in order to, get both the regular work, but also to develop in part. It's got a very, very fast turnover.
Definitely. I mean, especially in this day and age. I mean, you get yourself, even if you're just on for 3 or 6 months, it could set the rest of your career up, or you could stay there forever. Or
do pantomime and dancing on ice.
Exactly. Go into the jungle.
Lewis, how difficult is it to make a living starting out as an actor?
I mean, it can be very difficult, and you've really got to have a good support system behind you. I mean, I'm quite fortunate really, because I teach drama on the weekends for a company in Peterborough, where I come from, and so really that is my bread and butter. So any kind of acting around that is a plus really, because that is my sort of main thing that I want to do, and I hope to do for the rest of my life. But yeah, it can be very hard at times, and it's scary when you're coming to the end of a job, and you know that there isn't another one lined up, and so it's that kind of in-between period where you can freak out a bit. But if you've got drive and passion and commitment, and you want it enough, then you should do okay.
And you've both done some stuff in horror movies. I'm wondering, Lewis, is that like a re-emerging British genre almost? That Hammer is back. Well, Hammer is back. That's another story.
The great thing is, I mean, with Through the Lens, it's a low-budget, independent feature film. And the same with these kind of indie, independent horror films. Certainly the kind of found footage, Paranormal Activity, for example, they are so easy and quick to make on a shoestring budget. So, and there's just a massive following, a loyal following of horror films out there. And so, if yours is half decent, there's a good chance it will pick up.
So late night screening at somewhere like the Arts, or it's going to be seen online?
Well, I mean, the intentions with the horror film that I've just finished shooting is...
What's it called?
It's called Torn, and it's a werewolf horror film. And I just filmed that for 3 weeks in Exeter before starting this. And the idea behind that is for it to go on to play at Fright Fest next year.
And that's one of these convention, is it?
Yes, big horror film festival in London. It happens in October and August, and you have all of the horror fans from all over the world come down to support the new indie, independent horror films.
Charlie, tell me about the part you're actually playing in Through the Lens.
Joe doesn't really care about the generation he's in. He's ruthless. He doesn't think about what he does. He acts first. The only person that he cares about is Anthony in his life. He's got no one else. And he finds himself completely in the line of fire just by looking after his friend. And then the next thing you know...
But he's basically a good guy. A troubled guy perhaps a little bit, but basically good.
Lenny from Mice of Men. He's definitely Lenny, but maybe a little bit angrier.
He's got issues.
Yeah.
And Lewis, who are you playing?
So I play Anthony, and basically Anthony is sort of, when we first meet Anthony, he's a bit of a lost soul. He's had to leave university. He was studying computer science in Manchester due to his parents being arrested by the IPA, Internet Protection Agency.
So these are the people who are cracking down supposedly on what's going on.
That's right. And my parents were part of the movement, and basically they got arrested by the IPA and they were never seen again. And I have a sister called Sam who's 16, still in school, and so because of that I've had to come home to look after her. and to care for her and to protect her, but we have a very kind of ropey relationship. And then we realise soon on into the film that Sam has vital information that can bring down the IPA, and basically she has a chip injected in her neck, and she cuts it out and she gives it to me, and then we go on the run from the IPA.
Right. Oscar, you prefer, I think, life behind the camera mostly. You're still very young though, and you've done quite a bit of material, both I think on documentaries,
yeah,
and drama. How did you get started?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's a sort of long one, but when I was really young, we just sort of got given a camera, and me and some friends sort of got together and just made films, and it went from there, and we just sort of entered some of the films we made into festivals, and then got some money for other shorts, and each film got better and better and better, and now we're here with the feature film.
Well, what's actually available in terms of funding? When you sit down and you're working out the budgets, you're saving money on accommodation costs, as we've already learnt this morning, but there's costs you can't do anything about. The cost, I guess, of the camera equipment, the time, and funding yourself along the way, of course.
Well, I mean, this is it. I mean, there's basically nothing, and which makes it incredibly hard to actually make a film like this. I mean, people who I've spoken to and who've asked me what the film's about, and they say, and I tell them what the film's about, they sort of think I'm a bit kind of crazy because it's so ridiculously ambitious. It's set in the future. It's got all of this stuff going on, and then because most people with the budget that we've got probably just set it all in one room with 2 characters and a lot of monologues. So this is like just ridiculous compared to that. And I know I've set a big challenge, but and I think the money is just, we've got a little bit, but all of it's just going on food, really.
And can you later on, if this is well received, perhaps it gets released and plays in, I don't know, for the sake of argument, a handful of independents, or maybe gets downloaded on the internet, and are you likely to recoup even those small costs that you have?
Well, I mean, that's the hope is, yeah.
I guess what's happened your previous work, say some of the shorts you've done and the documentaries. What's been, and I kind of get the impression you're starting out. You're not necessarily in it for the massive financial reward, but one still has to go forward and live and have money to do the next project.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I've been basically living on nothing for the last year, and sort of struggling my way through. I moved back home. I've been living at home for sort of about 8 months, 9 months now, and the small amount of funding we had basically had just enough in the budget for some office space, and then from the office space I got in, started getting a really good team together who were all basically volunteering and donating their time for free, and then from there the whole thing started snowballing, and we just basically worked in the office every single day for about 6 months, 7 months beforehand, and got the film ready to go. But it's been a bit of a struggle because there's been absolutely no money. So, I've been sort of borrowing, stealing, to get the small amount of money that we've got together.
How much longer have you got working on this particular project? So what's the?
Well, we're 2 weeks in, so we've got another 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
So.
And well, I guess what's the end game here is, when would you expect it? I know these things can move around slightly, and I hope everything goes smoothly. But when and where might we eventually get to see this?
Well, I mean, hope is that it will be out in about a year, because at some point I've got to get a job, but I'm gonna edit. I've got all the stuff. I'm gonna do the rough cut, and hopefully I can have that done. I'm pretty quick at editing, so but all the rest of it, the music, the sound, all of that takes time, so hopefully a year's time.
But there will be a screening here in Cambridge.
Excellent.
In about a year's time.
Okay.
So obviously we would love to have you there.
No, absolutely. I think we'd like to be there. And perhaps when the project winds up and you're getting ready to show, it'd be great if you could you come back in. So I guess you guys are heading back to the Big Brother house now.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to bed.
And it's everyone's day off today, so boom.
Yeah. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for coming in. Pleasure to have you here this morning. The director Oscar for Short Swift, and also actors Charlie McDougall and Lewis Saunderson from Through the Lens. Guys, thank you all very much indeed.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Cheers.